Now, I've been asked a question, basically asking, why do you make a video? What is the purpose of this? Now, what is the purpose to anything, if you think about it? There isn't really much of a purpose to anything. Now, I'm going to explain the reason. Now, as we've covered in my previous videos, that these energies that is produced inside us, and these particles that become energy that we can't see, but is absorbed and creates movement, is invisible, let's say, vibrations or movements, activities that takes place in order for us to have the energy to think, to move, and so forth. Now, this invisible reaction that we can't see or understand is the freedom and the life that is given to each and every one. Now, we have to think about why all these people have not answered any questions. Now, going back to the question about what is the purpose, what is being achieved, goes back to us, that without this energy, without this activity, this movement, this vibration, this reaction that takes place, we wouldn't be able to do anything. Now, that's God that's enabled that reaction, that action, to generate and create that movement, or that thought, or idea, or sound that's being produced. Now, we have to understand that all these inventors in the past, they were good people, hard-working people that were poor. They had loads of problems, like Einstein and Isaac Newton, and going back to the brothers that achieved the flying machine, and the characters in the past that created the photo taking machine and printing machine And all these inventions in the past have been done by great minds, great individuals, and they have all been hardworking, poor, and excellent characters. And they have all helped people. Now you can research the history of inventors and what they have achieved and their characters, their lives, to know what kind of person they were. Now a person like, let's say, you, me, him, she, they, and so on. What do? We eat, we sleep, we think about something that we want to do, we want to engage and socialize and get together, and then just the normal small things that a human does. This is what a human being is. It's what they do. Now a human being doesn't necessarily want to try and achieve anything unless it's to do with his interest, or to do with no choice, because of hardship, because of life, because of stress, because it has no other option but to try and achieve something in order to make better of his conditions. Now all of these old historical pieces that we have, and the people in the past that have invented things, invented the serious things, not some product that has been reintroduced or used to create something else. That's not inventing. Inventing stopped at the let's say the 19th century. There was no more inventions in the mid 19th century or so on. The rest was used by other means. Technology has stopped. There is no more technology. You can make a car go as fast as it can till it explodes, which we're watching today. Now this car is not needed to go that fast in the place that is available for it to be used in, but it's still being worked on to go even faster. Now we have planes that are being changed into a different model and model and model. Homes being built bigger, bigger, bigger. The small interfaces have been changed. Mobile phones, etc., etc. Things have been worked on that has improved things. Things are being thought about, and so on. But there hasn't been any invention. The 3D printing thing is a nonsense. It's not an invention. It's just a way of recreating something in a solid form. It's not an invention that, okay, this is something that nobody understands. If we understand something that is like the light bulb, that's an invention. A 3D printer is just a machine that prints in solid liquid that turns into solid. It's nothing is easy. Everybody understands what it is, what it does. Then there has been no technology from the 19th century. Nothing new. It's just a rocket with something else on it that goes into space. A frequency that's been discovered before that figures out something else. A signal that figures out something else. It's the same computers that's being developed and used to work out different things. There's no new technology. There's nothing new that's invented. That is something that nobody understands or knows. It's just the same things that's being upgraded and used. Now the people in the past happen to be hard-working, confident, motivated individuals working hard in their lives and stressed in their lives into achieving things. Now each of these characters has had the involvement of God that is triggered this energy into Einstein, into developing something. Because the fact that an idea is a visible reaction created by the energy used and in our minds, and we can't see this or know this, we have to know that it's not something we'll ever understand, and that's God. Because God is something we don't understand or see or hear or anything. So those two make sense. The energy factor and God makes sense, and these thoughts and these means of understanding, means of learning, means of faith are all invisible. Now the purpose to everything is down to God, because we are not capable of fully deciding and have the ability to achieve anything without the help of God. We cannot do any. We're not capable of anything that is spectacular, that is amazing, that is, and so on. If we think of the inventors, they've all had such tough conditions and lives that brings out those characters, and God chose those characters in order to bring them out and display something that they were working on, an idea that came to them. Now Jesus was also a man created by God, without a father. And Jesus happened to do incredible things, miraculous things that required that energy, that and it says in the Bible that God manifests through Jesus. Now that explains the part of Moses. That explains how Moses was able to perform this miracle to open the sea for the Israelites to escape. So when the armies and the enemies in that era came to capture them, the seas finished them off. So that part of the world was completely wiped out. Because if that carried on, that slavery, that insanity at that time, in the time of Moses, there wouldn't be any you and I. You and I may not have existed. So that had to be done in order for civilization to carry on. And before that, when we go back to Noah as well. Noah as well was a peace-loving, caring individual that tried his best to convince his nations to accept God and to listen to him, explain and the heavy rains was a sign. The rains that did not stop and did not stop for weeks and weeks and weeks. The rains did not stop. There were signs for the people to see, but they did not believe. And that treacherous civilization that was against humanity and the build-up of insanity had to be stopped. So again, God brought out the waves and the flooding and but the people had to go on in order for the next generation, which was Moses, to carry on. And Moses, the same situation, but with a different group of people on a different land. Now, again, the same situation where they were destroying humanity, the immense slavery that the human beings were only there to be used without any aspect of a human. So they were just being used. Like us taking a tool and using the tool to fix something and putting that tool back into the box, and that's it. Do not come out until I tell you to come and do something, and then there is no anything to do with what you are, if you're alive or not. You are a tool. Now that had to be stopped, and so Moses, again, that civilization was crushed and the people moved on until Jesus and these Israelites that were saved had formed their own way and established their own. But there was humanity. The people were still living and in better conditions than the pharaohs before. People were all living their lives, but worshipping idols, worshipping these other human beings, or worshipping spirits or anything else but God. Because God is something we don't see or hear or understand. So Jesus was in play to help and guide and assist. Moving on. Now this reaction that takes place in a human being, this invisible reaction that we cannot see, that we cannot understand, that we cannot solve or prove, but we can all come up with our own ideas to what it can be. Scientifically, we can use by sources, our own ideas, and ways of proving things that we don't understand or see or can get our heads around. But nothing is being proved. Nothing is being achieved but these inventors in the past have all proved, have all achieved miraculous inventions that required God to initiate, like the initiation of the prophets in the past, and then the way they had initiated and proved to the mankind of different things that was not seen before. But here are things that are mechanically produced, but also as magnificent and of understanding to the mankind of that era. So all these inventions in the past by these scientists that were hard-working individuals, poor individuals, all of them the same. All of them had tough issues. That did not sin, that did not have time for anything else but working hard, and these individuals having that energy, that idea, that invention, that spark that is generated through energy that goes into the body, and is produced into the mind, this visual and effect that creates something. So we people are pretty much useless. We're nothing. We're just a being, a creature that differs from an animal. In what way? We differ from animals in the sense that we have a mind. We are able to use this mind in order to understand things and think about things and create and so on. But the animals are just specific to their instincts. Now that these are monkeys that have been trained to do something, it's not working, it's not making any sense. They all have a limit and that's it. And nothing else is being produced or understood. Based on the ability of that brain that monkey has to open a nut with a tool, maybe a stone to crack a nut with, to eat. That's the basic and instinct that it must have to survive in the habitat that is created for. So it's not a something that is spectacular, something that is an instinct of a monkey. It has fingers, it has a hand, so it can carry something, smash something, and eat something. Now that has been seen as something that's magnificent for an animal, but it's not magnificent. That's the instinct of the animal. Now the animals have their instincts that they have, the way they're created. That some are fast, some are visually better, some are. They all have their abilities in order and their instincts to survive with their habitats. And what they do is follow their instincts and their heart, basically. They follow what's inside them that wants to do this. I want to go over there. I want to look for this. I want to do that. I want to eat this. I want to kill that. I want to That's what an animal does based on his instinct and on what it wants to do, his heart. As they explain, like, I want this, I want that, I'm having this. That's an animal. But it also has its responsibilities. And an animal does not sin. It's based on instinct. It doesn't have the ability, the understanding, the way of negotiating, making decisions, and so on. It works on instinct and its abilities and what it wants. But it also has its abilities. It also has its responsibilities of looking after its kids and feeding the kid and working on this situation and that situation that's for the kid. So it also loves its life and its kids and its family and the way it is and what it's doing. So the animal follows its heart, not its head, because it lacks in the head. But a human being has its mind to think, to generate, to establish, to recognize this is wrong, this is right, I'm going to do this. And once made the right choice and gone through tough times and to achieve, there has to be that form of idea, that form of generating, that form of visual, invisible reaction that takes place inside that we don't understand how that mechanism is produced in one person in order to invent something that is incredible. Now that invention and that reaction makes no sense to the human beings, to us. How this is generated and this energy is worked on. And God also does not make any sense because we can't see God. But we know that the beginning, the source of that big bang, that took place, for all those particles to generate and move and collide and form and gradually get bigger and with the forces that are in play to generate the universe. So that big bang can be understood, but that trigger that created the bang, that energy, that source is not understood. So that's another thing that we don't understand, that we can't work out. Again, that's God. God can and use the mind and any person in order to generate and give the idea and trigger to perform something. Now this happens in daily lives everywhere. Like for a person that sees somebody that's in a road and there's a car coming, and that person suddenly just turns into Superman and just zoom, takes the person and just misses the car. Now that's not normal. No human being is capable of just suddenly intercepting and doing that. And a human being is somebody that has to be nervous, that has to see things, that has to work things out, that has to decide and make that decision, and for something to take place. That's a human being everywhere. They're all the same. We're all the same, but we're all different in our behaviors and characters and creation. But we are all this species, the human being, this creation, the human being. So there is no purpose or reason for anybody to do to be doing anything and saying anything and achieving anything. We don't do anything. We don't achieve anything. We don't. It's not us that achieves and delivers, and it's God that decides what to do, and in order for that civilization to be saved, in order for humanity to go on, it's God that decides what to do, what has to take place. For that inventor to create that invention, for humanity to go on, it requires God to decide whom that person is to invent the flying machine. In order for humanity to understand, it requires God to allow each individual to have that energy, to get that vision and that image and that way of thinking, that process, reaction that takes place that we can't see or understand, in order for the mind to think and to accept and understand something. That's up to God. Now for us to just sit there and do nothing and then just be this human being that does not want to do anything and just question everything, and I'm questioning this, I'm questioning that, and I'm going to question this, and go over there and enjoy this and enjoy that and enjoy this. That's an animal's way of being. That's not a human being. That's an animal that wants to do this, wants to do that, follows everything that the heart is telling it to do. I'm going to do this, eat that, and I'm going to talk about this and question this. I'm questioning this and questioning that. It's all about me, and I think I feel good. I feel good. I just question this thing here. So I'm big. Instead of understanding and working hard and using what the basics there is in order to prove something and to have that initiative that's created into understanding, that's been proven by the inventors in the past. We can go and research all the inventors in the past and see the kind of persons they were. And they were all hard-working individuals, poor individuals, suffering individuals, and tough individuals, and good individuals. Good individuals. In order for them to be chosen, to be given, and for the way to be paved, and for people to understand and to perform and to have and to create and to, it's all God. We human beings are not capable of things without the help of God. Now human beings have been manipulated through the generation by the forces of control that has taken their inventions and their ideas and produced other things and other means, and being credited for that idea, that creation. That is the evil out there, also in play. That darkness, because a human being has impurities and also has light and good. A human being is not all light or all pure. That's only God. God is all pure, all light, without any impurities, without any darkness. Human beings have darkness. In everyday lives they become darker and darker by doing more sins and turning into worse characters, having all bad things. Like a good human being would develop patience. But a bad human being would develop the opposite of patience. I want this right now. It should be done right now without any questions and without any thought. Because I follow what I say inside me, and that's what I want. That's what I'm going to have. So it develops this darkness. Now the forces of evil, these spirits that exist, can manipulate a very, very dark human being. Because a dark human being is a human being that is no longer protected by God. Because it has done so much things that's against humanity that is no longer being protected by God. That God, the Creator, does not accept. So these spirits are able to manipulate that human being in order for it to deceive and to have their way of thinking and their influence and control over matters. Now that's also at play. That's also so for a person to have that idea, that understanding, that initiative, that vision, that chemical reaction that generates that energy into a form of thought and vision, is a way of understanding God, has chosen that human being and assisted towards that human being for it to have that. So it's up to God to decide on what happens to us and what we do and what we achieve and what. So God. And God helps each person. And God decides whether you are a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, and whether you are correct or corrected, or whether you are going to be punished. Or God can change any situation. But we are given free will and a mind with all these senses and abilities and a conscience, and to work out and decide and put effort and to think and to want and to have that freedom that we do in our normal lives. In order for you to want and achieve something, you must to try things out and to trial and error process to get something right. We ain't going to get everything correct in the first time we attempt it. You have to keep trying and trying and trying until it works. Now that's what these inventors did in the past. They worked their ass off, hard-working individuals. They had a lot of pressure, a lot of hardship, poor people that carried on and on and on until God said, I'm going to help you, and there you go. That's it. That for them to achieve something. Because nobody can achieve anything on their own.